Hello and welcome to BriefTune. Today, we bring you one of the most popular epic fantasy superhero television series ever, Ninjago: Masters of Spinjitzu. It was created to coincide with the LEGO Ninjago line of construction toys, which is based on the characters and events of the series. It contains 15 seasons, a massive 210 episodes, and several mini-movies. Alright guys, go ahead, sit back, grab that popcorn, and just enjoy this long video. In the current world of Ninjago, there are 16 kingdoms. However, it wasn't like this in the past. The realm of Oni and dragons was the first realm in existence. Dragons are the first species of creation that originated from it. The dragons had power over creation, and the Oni had power over destruction. Effectively being opposites, a seemingly never-ending conflict between the two kinds was sparked that would go on for ages. One day, a child with the powers of both sides was born, who understood the necessity of the roles of both Oni and dragons in the grand scheme for balance. The two powers fought over him. However, the child, who is also known as the first Spinjitzu master, abandoned his home and decided to travel through dimensions using the realm crystal that he created. He created a land in the realm of Ninjago using the golden weapons. That realm crystal can also be used for malicious intentions, hence why it was hidden. There are also important kingdoms like the Cloud Kingdom, whose inhabitants are monks who write the destiny of creatures, and if it happens to change, chaos will ensue. There is also the tribe of dragon hunters that used to hunt the dragons to exploit their elemental powers, and the Oni masks that have unique abilities that are derived from the 3 Oni warlords. The first Spinjitzu master kept traveling until he found the Traveler's Tea, a hot beverage found in Ninjago and in the Never Realm, which is the most distant and remote of all realms. This tea had the power to create a portal, warping users to certain locations, including other realms, and the only one who was able to go back and forth alive was the Great Master. Many rumors surrounded the Great Master. Some say he was the one who created the worlds, but that's not possible since there were civilizations and dinosaurs before him. However, he must have helped these kingdoms grow because they were uninhabitable and had no sign of life. Well, except for the sea folk, the Merlopians, who only wanted peace, but not when there was Wojira, a powerful storm spirit that terrorized the seas and possessed the elemental powers of wave and storm, unleashing chaos throughout the realm. When the young first Spinjitzu master arrived, he found the world in disarray and joined forces with the Merlopians and Islanders, the two species threatened by this spirit. Despite their efforts, though, they were unable to defeat the Grand Serpent. But hope emerged in the form of Naiad, the first elemental master of water. Naiad leaped onto Wojira and discovered the source of her power: 2 amulets worn on the serpent's forehead, the Storm Amulet and the Wave Amulet. Naiad attempted to pry the amulets off using her broken trident, but to no avail. As a last resort, she merged with the Endless Sea, allowing her to finally remove the amulets from Wojira's head and cast the beast into a deep sleep. The first Spinjitzu master then entrusted the Wave Amulet to the Merlopians and the Storm Amulet to the Islanders, ensuring that Wojira could not reclaim her powers. After her defeat, Wojira was placed in a temple located in the deepest part of the Endless Sea, known as the Tartarus Trench. In the future, King Kalmar, the new ruler of Merlopia, searches for Wojira in an attempt to awaken her in order to get revenge on the landfolk and restore his people's glory. With the seas now calm and tranquil, the first Spinjitzu master was able to create the island of Ninjago, the art of Spinjitzu, and the 4 golden weapons of Spinjitzu. Oh, did I mention he also fathered 2 children? After a battle against the Overlord, the first Spinjitzu master created the Dark Island, which is the sister island of Ninjago, originally part of the main island. During his era, the Serpentine lived in fragile peace with humans, as King Mambo had an agreement with the first Spinjitzu master that both races could not enter each other's territories. The first Spinjitzu master taught his children everything, well, except for the Forbidden Spinjitzu, which is a powerful dark counterpart of Spinjitzu. These two swore to protect the 4 golden weapons of Spinjitzu. However, when the two were young, Garmadon went to retrieve Wu's katana after knocking it over during a sparring match, and while reaching for it, he was bitten by the infant Great Devourer, who was corrupted into a pawn by their father's ancient nemesis, the Overlord, and would go on to be known as a legendary being that could grow forever as long as it consumed, and whose venom could turn the purest of things wicked. One day, the two brothers crossed over to the land of the Serpentines, and they got caught. One of the serpents, Asphira, offered them freedom in exchange for the Spinjitzu secrets, and Wu accepted and they got out. Asphira became powerful and overthrew Mambo V, who was the king at the time. The brothers had to fight her, so they took the Forbidden Scrolls, which gave them great power. They defeated Asphira, imprisoned her in the pyramid for millennia, and Mambo V recovered his throne. Asphira will return. Now, remember that dark island I mentioned? Well, the way it got created had to do with when the Overlord challenged the first Spinjitzu master to a battle for the fate of the land. The battle eventually reached a stalemate, so the Overlord created the indestructible Stone Army to turn the tide in his favor. At one point, the Overlord and his army took refuge at the Temple of Fortitude to resist the first Spinjitzu master's powerful golden power. Realizing that he would ultimately be overcome, the first Spinjitzu master used the entirety of his strength to split Ninjago into two equal halves, which would later become the separate islands of Ninjago and the Island of Darkness. Later, the Master would pass down his powers to the Green Ninja, aka the Chosen One, meaning that he lost his life, but before that, he made sure to be buried with the Realm Crystal in a hidden place. After their father's death, Lord Garmadon was taken over by the power of the Great Devourer, and he tried to seize control of the golden weapons for himself, which led to a confrontation between Garmadon and his brother Wu, and during that, they clashed over the weapons. Master Wu took it upon himself to hide the golden weapons across the land of Ninjago. He entrusted the task of guarding the weapons to the dragons, and Wu created a map that would allow them to be located and retrieved if he were to die or to be captured. This map was then given to trusted people. Garmadon went to train with Master Chen and become his right hand. Master Chen plotted against Wu by intercepting the love letter Wu had written to Misako and having Garmadon, who felt the same way for her, writes his name on it, which caused her to fall in love with him. This love would lead to Lloyd being born. Lloyd, who gets abandoned by his father and is Wu's nephew, becomes the Chosen One, the most powerful green ninja, and the one who is destined to defeat his own father. Master Chen provokes a useless war between the humans of Ninjago and the Serpentines, in which the humans win and imprison a lot of the Serpentines. For revenge, the 5 Serpentine tribes would unite and unleash their goddess, the Great Devourer. During the Serpentine War, the Time Twins fought alongside Wu and Garmadon and the Elemental Alliance to defeat Chen, who later used his dark magic to manipulate them into betraying the Elemental Alliance. The Alliance failed miserably against the twins' temporal powers. When Rei and Maya forged the Time Blades to beat them, Wu and Garmadon succeeded in stealing their powers and using them to create a temporal vortex to banish the blades through space and time, so that no one can use their powers for evil. However, the twins didn't just give up. They jumped into the temporal rift to follow their drained power, which caused them to be lost in time. The twins would come back after being trapped in the temporal vortex for 40 years. Achronix, also known as Dr. Saunders, emerged and confronted Master Wu, hoping to defeat him and get revenge. When the Forward Time Blade also emerged from the vortex, Achronix used its powers to rapidly age Wu and launch the Vermilion, which are the pure first-generation progeny of the Great Devourer, all over Ninjago. The Vermilion can shapeshift and would become their army once they reunited. Okay, anyways, after defeating the twins, the Masters went on with their lives, including Lily, Cole's mother, who was the previous Elemental Master of Earth. Lily once visited Shintaro Mountain, where she learned about the Spinjitzu Burst, and she used this power to destroy Griefbringer, a dragon that terrorized the residents of the caverns. She left the mountain, but not before leaving the Blades of Deliverance with the Geckles and Munts, and her locket with Gleck. She married Lu, and later on they had Cole Cole who would inherit her powers. She got ill and Cole was by her side, promising her that he would make her proud. However, Lily died, resulting in a division between Cole and Lou in their grief. Later, he gets recruited by Sensei to become a ninja. There is also Captain Soto and his crew who sailed all the seas of Ninjago, eventually defeating the Sky Pirates and their captain. Okay, now back to the Time Twins. So after they jumped into the void, Crux emerged from it with the Reversal Time Blade, and years later succeeded in allying with Ray and Maya by forcing them to work for him. Otherwise, he'll kill their children. They then betrayed the brothers and the Elemental Masters to work on Crux's plan, with the incident becoming known by Chen as well in the process. The twins were erased from historical records as a result of their treachery. A new era with the new element holders begins. Naya, Kai, Cole, Jay, Zane, and Lloyd, who we will talk about later. But first, let's focus on Moro. Wu wanted to recruit good-hearted people to teach them Spinjitzu, and his first student was Moro, the Elemental Master of Wind. Moro was dedicated and thought that he would be the Green Ninja. He became determined to prove Destiny wrong after the Golden Weapons did not choose him as the fabled Green Ninja. So, he left his mentor Wu and set out on a quest to find his own destiny. During his search for the tomb of the first Spinjitzu master, Moro perished in the Caves of Despair. As a result of his previous actions and obsession with proving his destiny wrong, Moro's spirit was then banished to the Cursed Realm. Okay, now let's talk about Zane. Zane is the current Elemental Master and Ninja of Ice, as well as the first Nin Droid. He was recruited by Master Wu, learned Spinjitzu, and discovered his other teammates. Zane was created by Dr. Julian to protect the weak. Once on his deathbed, he erased Zane's memories so that he could start his life over. Surprisingly, he was revived by Samuki to build machines for his army. Dr. Julian refused, so they imprisoned him. This is how Zane got separated from his father and was recruited by Wu. As for Lloyd, his father abandoned him after evil took over him, and so did his mother, claiming that she had no choice but to save the world. Throughout his life, one constant of Lloyd's personality was his love for his father, Lord Garmadon. It was a desire to follow his evil parents' footsteps that drove him to enroll in Darkley's School for Bad Boys. However, he failed miserably at being bad, so he ran away and later unleashed the Serpentine on Ninjago. Kai is the current Elemental Master and Ninja of Fire. He and his young sister worked as blacksmiths in their father's blacksmith shop all of their lives until they finally met Master Wu. On the day they got recruited, the Sulkans attacked them because they came looking for the weapon maps that the first Spinjitzu master entrusted their parents with. Sensei Wu defends them and then invites Kai to train so that he can protect his sister. His training begins, and shortly after, he meets his teammates. Now, the team's mission is to find the 4 weapons, take them according to their respective element, and protect the world from Garmadon. While on a mission with Naya, Kai becomes the first to find his weapon, and the rest follow. Samukai betrays Garmadon by attempting to use the 4 golden weapons of Spinjitzu against him, only to be met with his demise instead, because they're like super powerful. At the same moment, a portal that would allow Garmadon to come back from his exile opens up, and he promises to take revenge once he steals the weapons. After meeting Garmadon, the ninjas go back to their daily life, and then after a while they meet his son Lloyd, the hopeless villain. They also discover that the Green Ninja is the one destined for the dark. Scales, the current Snake King, tries to hypnotize Lloyd, but he hypnotizes himself accidentally. Lloyd controls Scales' army of Serpentines to steal candy, but one of the Serpentines takes over, betrays Scales, and becomes the new king. But that's a story for another time. Lloyd gets imprisoned, but he puts his hands on a map and decides to take revenge on the Serpentines by exploiting Fang Tom, the general of another tribe of Serpentines. Much to Lloyd's surprise, the 2 tribes are allied, and he ends up being alienated once again. So this time, he teams up with Pythor, and together they manage to attack the Ninjago's team and steal the candy from them. Soon enough, Pythor shows his real colors to Lloyd, claiming that he had no interest in him, and that he he only wanted the map that he had. Being abandoned once again, Lloyd gets captured and apologizes to his uncle, Sensei Wu, for his mistakes, and he gets forgiven. Pythor now manages to gather all the snake tribes to make a single force and take revenge on Ninjago's people, while wanting to head to the lost city of Ouroboros, where the Great Devourer was imprisoned. They capture Lloyd, and later on capture the ninjas to sacrifice them, but they get rescued by a samurai who happens to be Naya herself. As her brother trained to be a ninja, she grew tired of being left out of the team and created the identity of Samurai X. Now, back to the Serpentines. These guys planned to wake the Great Devourer and dominate the world. This Great Devourer is the snake that bit Garmadon many years ago. Now that his team and nephew have been captured, Sensei Wu decides to search for Garmadon and ask him for help, and he accepts. In the meantime, Pythor gets closer to summoning the Great Devourer using Lloyd to obtain 2 of the 4 Fang Blades. Garmadon returns to Ninjago with Wu and saves Lloyd and the ninja. After Lloyd was saved, it was revealed that he was the Green Ninja, which really saddened Garmadon. It turns out the team wasn't chosen to only protect the golden weapons, but to protect Lloyd as well. In the meantime, the Serpentines got the 3rd Fang Blade and are looking for the last one, while also capturing the ninja and Sensei Wu. And while the Serpentines are celebrating this, Lloyd suddenly shows up and rescues them. At the same time, Garmadon's army arrives to attack the Serpentines, indicating that Lloyd made peace with his father. Well, at least for the time being, because Garmadon couldn't leave his evil nature behind. In the end, the ninja managed to procure the 4 Fang Blades, but not for long, because Pythor gets them back and summons the Great Devourer, which is something he didn't know the risks of. The Great Devourer starts destroying everything, including the Destiny's Bounty, a large red airship that became the ninjas' headquarters. An unfixable chaos issues to the point where the ninjas lend weapons to Garmadon to stop it, who manages to stop the Great Devourer, but double-crossery abound, he steals the weapons. Ninjago people saw the news, where Garmadon appeared to be the hero who saved them, and among those people was Harumi. After losing her parents during the rampage of the Great Devourer, Princess Harumi was adopted by the Emperor and Empress of Ninjago. For years, she sought vengeance against the ninja for allowing her parents' deaths, and she admired Lord Garmadon, who killed the Great Devourer by himself. This led to the birth of the Sons of Garmadon, a militant biker gang dedicated to resurrecting the Oni side of Lord Garmadon. This group was led by Princess Harumi, also known as the Quiet One. Sensei Wu is leaving the ninja to go look for the remaining parts of Destiny's Bounty. The ninja had to look for jobs to rent a house in the city since, they lost their headquarters. They meet a dude called Dareth who came into contact with them during their attempts to train Lloyd. As for Garmadon, he uses the golden weapons after merging them into one to transform the vessel's remains into the Black Bounty for himself and the Serpentine. Lloyd would later take back the ship from his father, and the ninja would restore it to its old appearance. Now Garmadon goes back in time to try and prevent the Ninjago team from getting together, and this represents the beginning of his end, and I'll tell you why in just a little while. The ninjas go after Garmadon and get to the past Kai before Garmadon does. They also try to destroy the Mega Weapon using another mage weapon, and that's when both the Mega Weapons get launched into space instead of getting destroyed, which unfortunately means these weapons will be used by Pythor in the future. But for now, the ninjas go back to their time, and in this time, Garmadon doesn't own a Mega Weapon because he lost it in the past they were just in. Garmadon then allies with the Serpentine, but they betray him and abandon him on the Dark Island. The Overlord appeared before him and led him through the jungle until Garmadon came upon a large boulder with 4 hand dials on its surface. Using his 4 arms, Garmadon turned the dials, causing the full Island of Darkness to rise from the sea. The Overlord also needed greater darkness to empower himself and return to Ninjago. So, he set Garmadon and the Stone Army to work harvesting the dark matter, a sinister material known for turning someone evil, which became Garmadon's strongest strongest weapon. At the same time, Lloyd meets his mother. He is initially hostile towards her for supposedly abandoning him, but after finding out her reason was to protect him and save his father, he ultimately forgave her. One day, after the defeat of the Great Devourer, its venom seeped into the sewers and ground beneath Ninjago City and revived the ancient army of stone warriors that had been entombed underground. The Serpentine, now united under the leadership of Scales, discovered the entrance to the tomb containing the stone army. They entered and engaged the revived stone warriors in battle. However, the Serpentine were ultimately defeated and trapped within the tomb, while the stone army was able to escape and set out to aid their old master Garmadon. The ninja asked the brown ninja to protect Ninjago despite his lacking skills, while they travel to the other part of it. During their travel, they find Dr. Julius in a tower. Happy to see his son Zane, he rushes them inside after mentioning an unspoken threat outside, which of course turns out to be Leviathan. While freeing Dr. Julian, the Leviathan's tentacles latch onto the ship as it tries to take flight. Lloyd uses his powers to briefly free the ship. Zane spots chains attached to the Leviathan and jumps off the bounty to swim down and cut through them. Upon being released, the monster stops attacking and just goes away. So, now that they've rescued Dr. Julian, the next step is to find the Temple of Light. When they found it and they opened the doors, Lloyd realized that the bell above them was the instrument of peace his mother had mentioned before, and the Stone Army arrived shortly later. When Lloyd struck the bell, he became enveloped in a bright white beam of light. As the light continued to refract, each ninja was engulfed, gaining new kimonos and blades. Lloyd rose into the air, spinning as he unlocked his own power. With their enhanced abilities, the ninja were easily able to defeat the surrounding stone warriors. And then finally, Lloyd summoned the power of the Golden Dragon, which caused the remaining army to retreat. Risking everything, the ninja disguise themselves as stone warriors and escort Misako to Lord Garmadon's camp, pretending to have captured her. Using her husband's lingering affection for her, Misako convinces Garmadon to remove the helmet with which he controls the army. The ninja get discovered when Cole attacks a stone soldier, forcing them to fight their way back down to the entrance as Misako rejoins them. Before the group flees, an enraged Garmadon stomps onto the scene, piloting a massive four-armed robot that proves invulnerable to the ninja's new elemental powers. Eventually, the Overlord reveals he was using Garmadon and just possessed his body, commencing a metamorphosis that turned him into a giant dragon. After opening a gate to it, Garmadon heads with the Garmatron and his army to the other part of Ninjago. This leaves the ninja no choice but to use the Golden Mech, an ancient fighting suit originally belonging to the first Spinjitzu master that only the Golden Ninja can activate. Lloyd then uses his Golden Mech to fly back to Ninjago City, which has been infected with the Overlord's darkness. Lloyd defeats the Overlord and finally frees his father of the poison that had been flowing through his veins, and that's when he reverts back to a normal man, free of the evil energy that had corrupted him. Although Ninjago was destroyed, it was quickly restored and became the center of technological advances, and with no enemies left to fight, the ninja's era ended. The ninja become teachers at Wu's Academy, and their life was so boring, up until one day when they get invited by Borg Industries, a company founded by Cyrus Borg. This is the primary source of upgrades and machinery. Entering the tower, the visitors, except for Kai who gets stuck in a door, are welcomed by Pixel, a female android created to act as Borg's assistant. Cyrus shows them a gift he wants to give them, an automated statue of himself. He tells Kai that they should protect them with their lives. After leaving, they accidentally drop the statue, yet they discover it's hollow and is filled with new suits as well as the Technoblades. Suddenly, the security system attacks them, but they somehow escaped, although they didn't know how to use their new weapons. Turns out, Cyrus tried to hide the new gadgets using the statue, but since the spirit of the defeated Overlord had infected the electric grid of Ninjago like a virus, it caused the security system to attack. Garmadon became the ninja sensei, Pixel 2 was briefly under the control of the Overlord and turned on her friends, but soon became a vital ally to the ninja after being redeemed by Zane. Not knowing what to do, the ninja looks for Scales. Following the Overlord's defeat, which the Serpentine were aware of, Scales and his people made the Tomb of the Stone Warriors their new village. They were a happy little family while leading the Serpentines, who are now redeemed, and live a peaceful life underground. Scales tells the ninja about the Golden Master, an ancient figure of evil linked to a Serpentine prophecy. It was said that the Golden Master would obtain the level of power of the first Spinjitzu Master and try to bring about a new dawn of the world, enslaving every man, woman, and Serpentine for all of eternity. A mysterious figure, revealed to be Pythor, wants to take revenge on the ninja for letting the Great Devourer eat him. He would help the Digital Overlord in tracking down Lloyd, whose golden power they hoped to steal to transform the Overlord into the Golden Master. Pythor would eventually capture Lloyd, and he would soon be drained of his element. The ninja discovers that the Overlord and Pythor are planning something called codename Arcturus, which turns out to be a rocket designed to reach the comet Delta V, where the lost golden weapons of Spinjitzu are located. At the Temple of Light, Lloyd gives up his golden power to restore the elemental powers of the other ninja. This permanently downgrades Lloyd's ability. The ninja find the Arcturus rocket and stow away on it as it launches into space. In Ninjago City, the Overlord is released from his capsule in a new, powerful form as the Golden Master. He and the Nindroids take over Borg Tower and attack Sensei Wu, Garmadon, and Naya, though they are all saved by Pixel. Now, on the Comet Delta V, the ninja battle the Nindroids and stop them from taking the fused golden weapons. They are ultimately unable to prevent the Nindroids from escaping with the weapons, and they get stranded on the comet. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Overlord is released from his capsule in a blackened form and the Overborg. The ninjas use their elements to repair the Arcturus ship to return home. When they return, Zane sacrifices himself by holding onto the Overlord's mech, using his ice powers to freeze the Golden Master in a massive explosion. This destroys the Overlord, but it also costs Zane his life. During Zane's funeral, Cyrus Borg gave a speech honoring Zane as the Titanium Ninja and revealed a statue of Zane made from titanium. However, after the funeral, Pixel heard Zane's voice, which hinted that Zane had somehow survived. Later on, it's revealed that when Zane overloaded and froze the Overlord, his consciousness was transferred into the Digiverse, the digital realm. So, in the end, Zane's sacrifice allowed him to defeat the Overlord, and his digital self was able to return to the physical world, being reborn as the Titanium Ninja. After Zane's sacrifice to defeat the Overlord, the remaining ninja have gone their separate ways. Lloyd decides to reunite the team and later discovers a shrine with a picture of Zane and an invitation to the Tournament of Elements, hosted by Master Chen. The invitations reveal that Zane is still alive and that they can be reunited with him. The ninja infiltrates Chen's Tournament of Elements on his remote island. They discover that Chen was once Garmadon's sensei and used deception to divide the elemental masters during the Serpentine Wars. Oh, also, Kai and Chen's daughter totally fall in love. Chen wants to begin another war using Anachondrai, so he steals the combatant's power. Later, he makes Kai betray Lloyd and trick him into battling Chen, who uses all the other elemental powers against Lloyd, defeating the Green Ninja and stealing his powers. However, Kai and Skylar take Chen's staff and destroy it, restoring the powers of all the elemental masters. The ninja have now secured Chen's island, but Chen and his remaining Anachondrai cultists are still in hiding. Chen realizes Skylar's powers, which have absorbed all of the elemental abilities, can be used to complete the spell to transform his army into Anachondrai. He frees Skylar and tricks her into leading them to the Crystal Caves to finish the spell. Skylar realizes the process could be fatal to her, but Chen disregards this. She escapes and the ninja race to stop Chen. During the pursuit, Zane has a vision of the Titanium Dragon, which he overcomes by embracing his identity as the Titanium Ninja. In the Crystal Caves, Kai and Skylar try to stop the spell, but Chen completes it, transforming his army. The ninja and elemental masters are forced to retreat, but Zane, my boy Zane, he can summon the Titanium Dragon, inspiring the others to unlock their own elemental dragons. They set out to stop Chen's transformed army from invading Ninjago. The group realizes they need to find someone who knows more about the real Anacondri to stop Chen's imposter army. They turn to the imprisoned Pythor, the last surviving Anacondri, who got imprisoned after the Overlord's defeat at Cryptarium Prison. At the prison, the Anacondri cultists break in and try to capture Pythor, as they believe his essence is needed to make their transformation permanent. The ninja have to fight to keep Pythor from falling into Chen's hands. Garmadron's Anacondri transformation is revealed to be the key, as his Anacondri venom may be what the cultists need. This explains why Chen has not attacked yet. He is waiting to obtain Pythor or Garmadon's essence. The ninja and elemental masters make a final stand against Chen's Anacondri army at the Corridor of Elders. With help from Pythor, they discover that Garmadon can sacrifice himself to summon the original Anacondri generals from the Cursed Realm by taking their place in the Cursed Realm, as he was the one responsible for banishing them. The Anacondri generals then curse and banish Chen's forces, which lead to his defeat. In the end, the ninja and their allies emerge victorious, but are forced to mourn the loss of Garmadon.